Okay, there's violence in sports, including rugby. Period. That's how it is. And rugby, you're not going to get it often. You're not going to get many punches thrown and shit like that because they know what that does to the team. Everything else, they get it. They just don't do that shit usually. But today, it got that way between Gokwas and the Cheetahs. Now, I have no problem with violence in sports, right? None. But the thing is, does the sport welcome it or does it not? I'm all for a good hockey fight, but hockey allows it. Okay? A hockey fight is, well, you're going to get time for it, you're going to get a penalty, you're going to get all that shit. Fine. But it allows it. Rugby doesn't. And because it doesn't, then it needs to be called and dealt with accordingly. Now, in most games, actually in every game I've seen so far, rugby wise, I've never had a problem with the ref. There might be a call here or there, that is what it is. We're all humans. Shit happens. But in this game, the ref not calling shit, not calling as much, he called some, but not calling shit that mattered. All game is what helped get it to the point where jerseys were torn and all that shit, okay? So, yeah. If it's allowed in the sport, I'm all for it, but there's a reason that it's not allowed in some sports. In hockey, it is used to fire a team up, to help protect somebody that got hit, and let everyone know you can't be doing that shit. That kind of thing. In rugby, that does not exist. Yeah. There's no rugby enforcers. They aren't a thing. 10 minutes. Get it in a yellow card, 10 minutes out, your team being a man down. It being a 14-man squad. Or 14-woman squad. That's a fucking problem. Doesn't seem like one. It is. It can be a huge one. So, I know some people want there to be violence in rugby. To be old school fights and shit like that, like some of the old games. Just from shit I've seen, right? And sometimes, yeah, that's fun for a minute for a rivalry or some shit, but you can't have that all the time. And honestly, you can't have a team that is whooping ass, winning games, having somebody basically being kicked out of the league. Like, Slapshot, that movie, if you're a hockey fan at all. Even with the stupid ass racism in it, that's all over that fucking movie, unfortunately. But, what I'm getting at is the story there of the team. How it's a bunch of bruisers just going out there fighting and shit. You can't do that in rugby. So, yeah, being tough, that's great. That's something that's needed. Being prone to punch people in the head and lose your temper, not really needed. And they've been cracking down on it more and more from what I've seen to get it down to the point it is. But today, it shows that it can happen, it does happen, and it will happen. I know in different kinds of sports, different leagues, all that shit, there'd be a bunch of fines and everything else. And honestly, at that point of the game, a lot of people would have been handing out yellow cards like candy. There was not one yellow card handed out for that whole altercation. And the only team that got yellow cards afterwards was not the one that started the whole fucking fight. Period. So sometimes you are going to see games like this. it is what it is. But honestly, at this point, all I can really say is I hope the Cross do better. And honestly, I know people want to see rugby fights, but if you're a fan of a team, you do not want to see them fight, especially if they're losing. In hockey, sure, it can fire you up. Might fire you up a little bit in rugby too. But guess what? You're out there the whole time. It's different, right? You only get so many substitutions. You aren't doing shifts. Hockey players are out there 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes max at a time. That's how long their shift is. It's not two 40-minute halves. You know what I'm saying? Tempers do rise. But for you to be really competitive, you cannot use that anger in that way. Even with sumo. Sumo is fast, aggressive. Okay? It is. But it's channeled and it's used at the time of the bout only. The time of attack. That's how it's supposed to be. Do it fast. They aren't going for 80 minutes. You're lucky if they go for a minute if they're any good. Or have some kind of advantage over the other that, especially if their opponent doesn't see it coming. And that's focused fight with one goal in mind. And as soon as you are at the point of, okay, now I have to fight him for real, then you're off your game plan. You have no plan of attack. And you're going to cost your team. You can't have Bob Probert in rugby. You can't have it anymore. I mean, you can, but it's not going to work well for you. So, yeah, if you're wondering why you don't see fights in rugby, really, that's it.